Hello, everybody. So sorry for that delay there. We had a few technical difficulties, but we think we've got it under control. Thank you for being
I
with
think
us.
so.
It's Friday. It's time for Cub Chat Live. Finally, we're going to fight through it today because we love Cub Scouts, and we want to talk to you guys every Friday at this time about topical issues, what's going on. My name's Aaron. I'll be the host today. I'm joined by my good friend Anthony, who is the National Director of Cub Scouting. Anthony, do you read me?
I do. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, Anthony. Thank you. It's good to
All
see
right.
you. Glad to be here. Finally, the topic today, Anthony, I'm going to let you explain it, but I would just like to point out real quick that one of the really good things about the Cub Scout program, scouting in general, but certainly the Cub Scout program, is it helps facilitate conversations with families. Right? Some of those conversations are really fun and cool and interesting. Some of them are maybe conversations that might be tricky, and we are here to provide kind of a guide for that. Anthony, why don't you tell us about the topic of today's show?
Yeah. So over the last 2 years, we introduced a new concept called preview adventures, and preview adventures are adventures that all the requirements and the support material that you need to deliver that adventure lives on scouting.org. And one of the first preview adventures that we were able to introduce was the Protect Yourself Rules adventure. It was in a partnership with the Barbara Sinatra Children's Foundation and some world renowned subject matter experts about how to keep children safe and how to empower them to keep themselves safe. When we launched that, we knew that we wanted to do long term was incorporate that into the Cub Scout program. And we decided on a rolling change where Cyberchip would be eventually sunsetted and be replaced with the Protect Yourself rules. And so that time has come. And so that's the big announcement for today is that Cyberchip for Cub Scouting is no longer going to be a requirement for rank advancement for the next program year. Now, the award is still going to live, and we still have recognition items for it. And if Cub Scouts wanted to earn that as an extra award, they certainly are welcome to do that while supplies last. But for rank advancement, uh, now instead of earning Cyberchip, we want uh, children to watch the age appropriate Protect Yourself Rules video. And that can be found on the Protect Yourself Rules preview adventure site that's on scouting.org. You can watch it by streaming, or you can even download it and then watch it offline as well. And we certainly want to encourage everyone to make sure that parents are aware of that, that your new family members are aware of that. We want to make that announcement now so that you can make sure that's incorporated into your program plan for the following year. We just recently made some revisions to, I should say not revisions, but reprints of the Tiger, Wolf, Bear, and Weeblo's handbooks. Those new editions will no longer have a reference to Cyberchip in them, but instead will have this new requirement. And online, we have also changed that requirement if you're looking at rank advancement for online as well. So that's the big news.
Yeah, so I would like to clarify, just to be clear, Anthony, the cyber chip program still exists, and you're not telling folks not to do it. They can certainly still do it. There's a lot of value in that. It's just not a part of the requirements anymore. Do I have that basic fact down, Anthony?
Yes, yes, and that is. I'm glad that you interpreted exactly what I was hoping to convey, message
Right,
wise.
exactly.
That Cyberchip was a partnership that we had, um, and so that is not a product that's necessarily owned by the BSA. And so when you go to that website, I think everyone who in the past has experienced that and probably watching the show knows that, you kind of leave the BSA website and that's a different vendor that is, or partnership, I should say, that we have to deliver that program. But the Protect Yourself rules, the reason for that switch is that, you know, Cyberchip is great, the content's great, uh, but it only deals singularly with online safety. And where the Protect Yourself rules is a much broader spectrum and it covers lots of areas, specifically what they call the Protect Yourself rules, which are specific items that world-renowned subject matter experts, and along with the Barbara Sandra Children's Foundation, have developed, tested, and we know that these are amazing tools for parents to use. And so, if you will, this is an upgrade to what we had before. So, as we continually to work to improve our program, um, and we feel confident now that we've got 2 years of experience with the Protect Yourself rules as a preview adventure. All that time we've been surveying and looking at feedback from that recognition, or from that award and that program, and we're very pleased with the response that we've gotten so far. uh, in fact, we've got a couple of pieces of information that we're going to share about that, but first, right, we want to see if they have a conversation. Do we have any shout outs, and we have any folks we want to talk
we
to?
we do have some folks with a few comments here, Anthony, and I'm glad you said that, because as we have our discussion here over the next half hour or so, if you have any questions about the Protect Yourselves preview adventure, or how it works, or how we came to this decision, please be sure and ask. Shout out to Mariah, says hello everybody. Thank you, Mariah, for watching. I appreciate it. Cassie has a question. Are the Protect Yourself adventure loops in stock? I guess maybe Cassie has had trouble finding them in stock. The Protect Yourself adventure loops are still a
Yes,
thing.
yes. We love scouting, because when we're together in scouting, right, we are a community, and we all have like values, right? We all have values in Scout Oath and Scout Law. But unfortunately, the BSA is not immune to world situations, and everyone knows that the
Yep,
supply
yep,
chain with around the world has had huge challenges and difficulties. And unfortunately, one of the victims of that has been the Protect Yourself rules, adventure loops and pins. I do have good news, though. I have talked to our national supply, and we do have a large shipment coming in. Actually, I believe in 2 more weeks. So you may be able to see that in your local shops, probably within 4 to 5 weeks. Our sincerest apologies for that. If it was something that we could control and something that we could have done to prevent, we would have. But again, it's just one of those things that got stuck in that supply chain, and there's not much we could have done about it. So we know that we have lots of Cub Scouts who earned it, and we're looking forward to it, and we reinforce that instant recognition. So I hope folks got creative. I saw some folks posting online. They got creative with how they delivered that instant recognition, even though it may not have been the loop or the pin. And so we congratulate folks who did that. And we fully expect to have those in stock over the summer. So again, our apologies. If it was something we
yep.
could have done, we would have done. But it was one of the things that got stuck in that supply chain.
Yep, yep. Awesome. Thanks for that knowledge, Anthony. Very impressive. And again, yeah, the Cub Scout leaders are some of the most creative humans on the planet, I think. So we do appreciate you guys working with us on this. Thanks for your patience. Shout out to Danica, who's watching from Pack 2540 in Killeen, Texas. Thank you for watching. And shout out, Rob says, hello to all. Thank you, Rob. Right back
Hey,
at
Rob.
you. Anthony, I think you were about to go into a little bit of a presentation about some of the feedback we've gotten, things like that. Is that what's next on our agenda?
Yes, absolutely. So we have, as we launched the preview adventure for Protect Yourself rules, we instantly wanted to start getting feedback from parents on their reaction to it and their child's reaction to it. So one of the things that the survey has shown so far, and this has been a rolling survey, so it's been an open survey, and we're very happy with our response rate on it. This isn't just 10 or 12 people telling us their opinion. This is thousands of people who've told us what they think. And the first question that we ask is, did your child enjoy the video? Uh, and 92% of parents indicated that their child enjoyed the video. So that's pretty impressive, considering the topic is about preventing abuse and empowering your child. Um, the videos are extremely well done. They're done by world-class animators. And so the content's great, the delivery's great. And we felt really good about it when we created the partnership. And we're just really pleased to see that everyone has appreciated it so far as well. So just an overwhelming response to that, and that the children that are Cub Scouts are reacting positively to this. The next piece of question, or the next question that we ask, is about did your child enjoy the video? But the next question was, what was the reaction to the video? Like, could you describe your child's reaction? Was it positive? Was it neutral? Or was it negative? And again, very pleased with this result. 98% are saying that their child's response and reaction to the series was either positive or neutral. And as you can imagine, right, again with the topic, to have 64% of children saying that they had their parents saying that their child had a positive response to this. Again, very pleased with with this feedback. Very pleased with the program. That's why we feel very confident that it is time to roll this out, make this part of the rank advancement program for Cub Scouts. And then lastly, and probably more importantly, Aaron, you led with this about scouting encourages conversations between parents and their children, and certainly this does that as well. We asked, did this help you have a conversation with your child about protecting themselves? And almost 93% said absolutely yes, with only 4% saying no. That's a huge percentage that we're very happy with. We wish it would be 100%. We always wish it would be 100%. But this is a very encouraging data that we have about the Protect Yourself rules, its content, how it's being delivered. And so you can find all those resources again on scouting.org. You don't need to log into anything. It's an open source material. You go to Preview Adventures off of the Cub Scout page, and we have the link below. A couple clicks to get there. Preview Adventures takes you to a landing page of all the preview adventures, and then going to the Protect Yourself Rules adventures. Now, it's important to note a little detail, right? Those who've been in Cub Scouting know this, but want to make sure everyone understands that Lions did not have a cyber chip requirement for their rank. All right. So that's why there's no change to the Lion rank and the requirements for that rank. This is only impacting Tiger, Wolf, Bear, Weeblos, and Arrow of Light. And they do not have to earn the adventure to earn the rank. And we want to make a distinction. Simply watching the video is the requirement. Now, if you want to go further and complete the whole adventure, fantastic. That's encouraged, but that is not the requirement. The requirement is simply to watch the video. And the feedback we've gotten from parents and from den leaders is that this is one of those adventures and one of those topics that is often done at home. It's given kind of as an at-home assignment, and we're okay with that. We've also seen that some dens have done an extremely good job of delivering this on a den level, and that's acceptable too. Whatever is most comfortable for the families in your den and which you're comfortable in delivering. The important part is that it gets delivered to the families, and that Cub Scouts are participating in the program.
Yes, excellent stuff. Thank you very much, Anthony. Shout out real quick to Jennifer, who says hello from both Pack 614 and Troop 88 in Gainesville, Florida. I always like it when we have folks watching from both a pack and a troop, right? I'm guessing maybe a couple of kids, maybe of different ages. Very cool, Jennifer. We got a few folks asking about a little more details about what's in the Protect Yourself Rules adventure. Anthony, maybe we can get into that a little bit if that's okay. Jeremy comments that one of the I think dangers, of kids as young, 8-year-old kids, maybe who have cell phones. One of the concerns is the risk of, like, say, example, giving out information online, right? That may be a mistake that young folks could make, right? Can you talk about that? Is that addressed in the Protect Yourself Rules adventure? Can you maybe get into that a little bit?
Yes, one of the great things about the Protect Yourself rules is that there is a division of content based on the grade level, and so in fourth grade we start addressing that type of scenario in very, I'm going to say, realistic forms of how people may start asking a child to connect online, and how what they do what's called grooming. They start socializing them to some concepts, and then asking them to do things that are inappropriate. Uh, those things are addressed there, and the protect yourself rules help create these barriers that a child can understand at that age, um, and not get confused and not be scared, right? That's the key thing that we want to make sure that children feel empowered and not scared. When you feel empowered, right, that puts you in that power, that position of power, compared to being a victim, right? And so we address things like, there are such things as safe strangers, right? We know that most child abuse happens it happens um, from someone that a child knows, right? And so we want them to understand that there is such a thing as a safe stranger, and having that conversation with your parent of who that is, right? And identifying that there are bad touches and that there are safe touches. And the situations are realistic. And then they talk about, especially at a young age, and I think everyone should do this, right? If someone's making you feel uncomfortable, 3 simple steps: shout, run, tell. Right? That's actually if you do the adventure, there's actually an activity we want uh, Cub Scouts to do where they practice doing that. So the first time that they have to do it, right? It's not in a real life situation. They get to practice it with their adult partner. And it is, if someone's making you feel uncomfortable, right? If an adult is approaching you and you're not comfortable, you shout, you make a lot of noise. The worst thing you do is be silent about it, right? You be as loud as you can, and you run away from the situation, and you tell a trusted adult about what happened, right? That is an example of, that's just one of the protect yourself rules, is shout, run, tell. And so that is a powerful message that we send, and that's part of that program that I particularly like, because again, it puts that child in the power position, in a position of power. And it's not delivered in a scary, dark setting. These are cartoons that children are reacting. We know from the survey they're reacting very positive to, and so they're receiving the message more so than they would from something stagnant, or an adult reading a book to them, or other delivery options that are out there.
I love that idea of them, like you say, making them feel empowered. Again, it kind of goes in line with the entire scouting program. The whole goal is to make kids be prepared for any kind of situation, and the way you prepare for situations by practicing, by practicing what you would
Right.
do if that situation were to occur, whether it's like getting lost in the woods, right, or whatever it is. You want to practice that in advance. So this is very much in line with that. We got a few more questions coming in, Anthony. If I could hit you with those real
Yep.
quick. Jacob is asking for some clarification, and you mentioned this a second ago, and I think
Mhm.
Jacob just needs a little clarification. You mentioned he's talking about specifically the second grade requirements, which I think is Wolf is second grade, right, Anthony?
Yes.
He's talking about the requirements say watch the video or earn the adventure, and I believe what is watching the video is the requirement. Earning the whole adventure would be the elective. Am I correct on that?
That's correct. That's correct. Right. So if you earned the adventure, or you earn the adventure, you've
You
watched the
watch the
video. That's one
video,
of the
right?
requirements of the
Right.
adventure. So that's
Mm-hmm.
that clarification. So yes,
Yes.
the
So,
minimum requirement, if you will, is just to make sure they watch the video. But if you do the adventure, which we would encourage everyone to do,
mm-hmm.
the dead meeting plans are online. Again, we created activities. There's some worksheets that complement, and some games that complement the content that's in the videos, to really help. Again, the more experiential that learning, the more it's going to take with that child.
Gotcha. Thank you, Jacob. Hope that explains that for you. Comment from Carrie. Carrie says, I love that you guys do this. I do the whole adventure with parents and kids together. We give the belt loop to the kids, and the parents get a certificate signed by the child and the den leader.
Oh, that's a great
Very
idea.
cool.
What
Yeah.
what a great way, right? And recognizing the adult as well. What
Hmm.
a great incentive program. Again, goes back to, right, Cub Scout leaders are the most creative people
I
out
was
there,
just
aren't
going to
they?
say that we have the most creative adults in the world, our Cub Scout leaders, I think. Very cool, Carrie. Um, Maria says, I swear this episode, talking about, I think this is episode of Cub Scout Live, this episode is for us. We just had an issue come up last night with our 9-year-old with some internet exposure issues. So scary. Yes, Mariah, it can be very
Yes.
scary. I hope this is helpful. And I hope that the Protect Yourselves Rules adventure could be helpful to you and your 9-year-old. That's, yeah, this is real life stuff. The world's different than it was when Anthony and I were Cub Scout age. We didn't have to worry about this kind of stuff. So you guys have a little bit different. And, I think that this is a good, a good sign of the Scout program. Nobody likes change, right? But the world changes. These are things we didn't have to worry about 20 years ago,
I
30
think
years ago,
people
right?
I think people like change when it's an improvement, right? When you know that it's
Right,
a known
right.
improvement, and this is certainly one of those areas. And to that point, right, the video that is for 9-year olds, right, the fourth and fifth grade level, does talk about that. It does talk about online safety, and there's another great exercise in there talking about a bubble of, you know, it's a there's a level uh, of, I'm going to say, familiarity that you have with people, right? There's people that are really close to you that are part of your central core of a bubble, right? That's your family, right? That's your parents, your siblings, right? And then there's kind of another layer of trusted people, and then there's another layer, right? And this builds out for a reason, right? The less you know someone, the less you should be sharing about yourself, right? And the less the relationship shouldn't be the same as someone who is such your parent or legal guardian, or sibling, right? That type of visual is very powerful for a young person.
Yes, yes, very much so. We got a couple of comments. Maybe you can address this, Anthony. A few folks saying that they think that you can start these conversations with your children at a very young age, maybe younger, for example, than fourth grade. Jeremy says, fourth grade, it's too late. He thinks. Maybe you can go into a little bit about how we came to the different strategies, how you divide it by age and what's appropriate for each grade. Can you talk about and of course, hey, if you guys want to have conversation with your children when they're younger, of course that's wonderful. That's
Absolutely.
your choice. But how does the official program? How did we come up with those delineations, Anthony?
That's a great question, and certainly we did not make that decision on our own, right? We did work. The content was already developed by the Barbara Sinatra Children's Foundation, and world leaders. When I say world leaders in protecting children, I mean the who's who in that arena helped develop this content. The animation was done by the folks who, and I might be dating myself a little bit here, but animation was done by folks who were also involved with the Rugrats on Nickelodeon, and so this is powerful stuff. And when we were exposed to it, when it was introduced to us, we said, absolutely, this is the kind of content that we want in our program, and we were happy to partner with them. And it's been a great partnership, as we also have been sharing with them the success of the program within Cub Scouting and the feedback that we're getting from parents and leaders like those who are watching today.
Very, very nice. We're talking about kind of a serious topic today, but I really appreciate that there's an account watching called All About Scouts. They've made a joke in the comments worthy of Scout Life magazine. I would say, Anthony, we mentioned this could be in the back page of Scout Life, and I like that. We this is funny. We talked about changes. All About Scouts says they love change: pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters. Thank you, All About
Ah,
Scouts.
that is right. We gotta send them a Scout Life
Yeah,
patch
they get
or
a
something,
contributor
right?
patch or something. Yes, exactly. Yes. Catherine has another question about the Protect Yourself Rules Adventure in Scout Book. Is all this
Mhm.
stuff in Scout Book? Can they register all this stuff in Scout Book? And is Cyber Tick
Yes.
now no longer in Scout Book? How does that work?
Yeah, so when we built the Den Leader experience, we purposely left out Cyberchip, as we this was a rolling change. So really, the in the Den Leader experience, the only option is the Protect Yourself rules. But in Scout Book, it's still an either or as an option, and we're working to again wean ourselves off of that. As this is a rolling change, I wish it was as easy to be able to snap our fingers and everything happens all at once. And in the past, that has kind of prevented us from making some improvements. We've been brave enough to just move forward with things that we know needs to get done, that's important to the organization, and in doing so, right, it may mean it's a rolling change that we can't make everything overnight and if you will, like get rid of this inventory or we're just gonna shelve this, but rather give people an option and kind of ease them into it with what we love to call it's called a rolling change, right? So we are comfortable and we're okay with either this or that until we're ready to go all in.
Gotcha. Very, very cool. And you showed earlier, Anthony, some survey results. Is that survey, people can still take that survey? Is that correct?
Yes, it's an open survey, and when you go to the Protect Yourself Rules website, you'll see that there's a little link there for that as well, so that you can give your feedback not only on the Protect Yourself Rules, but you can also always give your feedback on any of the preview adventures that we have. And we do. I look at those. I respond to those. They come to me as an email. The Protect Yourself Rules is a survey question. I don't get that. I don't get every single one of those. Uh,
Hmm.
but we do have a feedback loop that we monitor and we do take very seriously. When we're creating content and program, we really do want to make sure that we're hitting the mark, that we're meeting families where they are today, and we're very happy again to be able to make this long, make this full conversion, make it fully incorporated into the Cub Scout program, because we know we have the data. You've told us, people have told us that this is really good, and so we're happy to be able to do that.
Yes, awesome. And we encourage everybody who's watching when you do those preview adventures, the Protect Yourself adventure and the other ones, do take the time to fill out the survey. Probably just a few minutes, I think, Anthony, probably how long it takes. We do encourage everybody to
Yeah,
do that.
right.
Yeah, that's how
Yes,
we rely on feedback like that.
not only that survey, right? But there's also every quarter we send out what's called Voice of the Scout. Voice of the Scout survey data. We use that all the time. That lets us know how we're doing overall. But then also we'll ask additional questions as part of that survey, because sometimes we're testing something. Because what we don't like to do is we don't like to sit in a room with 4 or 5 people, right, and say, this is what I think everyone should be doing. And I think this is what everyone likes because that's what I like. We really
Hmm.
do like to throw things out there, get that feedback, and see, are we on the same page with our volunteers, with our parents? And if so, then we move forward with that data informed decision.
Yeah, we've talked on this show quite a few times about how the decisions that we make are not just based on a focus group of two or three, adults who just this is what we think it should be like, and especially in this case, the Protect Yourselves adventure created with experts who really know about how to have these conversations and, like you said before, how to empower children not without making them scared, things like that. Great stuff. We have just a couple of more minutes. If you guys have any more questions for Anthony, I have one question actually for you, sir. You mentioned before the Protect Yourself Rules Adventure is open to Lions also, or no?
It is. So we do have a
Okay.
Protect Yourself Rules adventure for Lions, but it is not part of their rank advancement. As Cyberchip was
Okay.
not part of their rank advancement previously, um, there was no change there. But there is an option, and there's content for Lions to earn the Protect Yourself Rules adventure as well.
Gotcha. So you can start this as early as kindergarten. Line would be kindergarten. There's a handful of folks in the comments who encourage people to start this early. In their
Yes.
opinion, it's okay to have this conversation with kids at a younger age. I think that's probably a choice up to parents to make, right? If they want to do that. You agree, Anthony?
I agree. But as we all know, right, having the conversations early and as often as possible is beneficial. That's why it's part of the rank advancement program each year, right? It's not just
Right.
one. Um, First of all, we know that in the life of a child, a year is forever. right? That's not the same as, time is different for you and I. A year seems like,
Yep.
wow, that just went by like that. For a
Right.
child, it's a very long time. Chances are they're not going to remember that they did it. And if they do, that's okay, right? This is content we want them to remember. So repetition is not a bad thing. If you
Yep.
follow the den meeting plans, we made sure that the den meeting plans have activities that are different at each grade level so that they aren't doing the same activity, but the content is still the same.
And Gene makes a really good point. The good thing about this program is that it starts the conversation. I agree with that. Jeremy is commenting, he believes that the conversation should start when they're younger. Jeremy, we hear you. I think
Absolutely.
my response to that, Jeremy, would be that, as Gene points out, these are meant to start the conversation. And if you feel like you want to talk to your child about more advanced issues, then you certainly should do that. And you could draw from some of the older, Jeremy, I'm not sure how old your Cub Scout is, but if your Cub Scout, say in second grade, and you want to draw from the third and fourth and fifth grade requirements, you are certainly welcome to do that. And as Anthony said, it's repeated every single year. So you go back and you hit them with it again every single year. Jeremy, I hear your comments, and I would say, if you feel like this doesn't cover enough, you are welcome to cover that. We just hope
Right.
this kind of starts the conversation. Anthony, am I saying that right? Do you think?
Absolutely, right. And everyone's situation is a little bit different. A child's access to technology differs from home to home to home, and we all have our own different personal philosophies and opinions about youth and technology, what's allowed, what's not allowed, and we hope that this just engages the conversation. We know that children at a certain age, they're unlikely to be online in situations where it's not a controlled environment. It's there's that age where we know, right, that's and and I may feel old by saying this, but man, fourth grade is pretty young. But that's where the content's at. Even
Right.
though legally they're not allowed to be on social media, right? We know that there's an age limit to social media,
Right.
but we know that unfortunately in today's world that's not always followed, and people think that social media may only just be a brand name that's recognizable, but there's so many other platforms that are out there as well. Uh, and as your child gets older, it's harder to be with them all the time and know what they're being exposed to as their access to technology increases as they get older. We just know that that's just, for many of us, it's a fact of life.
Yes, right. One of the things I really like about doing these Cub Chat live videos is the opportunity to interact with folks. Jeremy, we appreciate your comments. He's being very scout-like. I like that, Jeremy. Jeremy,
Yes,
he's
absolutely.
got an opinion, but he's sharing it in a very scout-like way. We appreciate that very
Right.
much. All About Scouts, actually, All About Scouts has a good comment. Parents should have already had this conversation with their kids about technology even early on, so the Protect Yourself adventure should be thought of as an addition to and not a replacement for that conversation. Thank you, All About Scouts.
Right.
Appreciate that. And
Right.
then I would almost compare it to, I remember, I love to tell stories on Cub Chat Live about back in the day when I was a Cub Master. And it was a completely different topic, but we had one family in our pack who owned boats, and they were very, very comfortable with boating. Their young child, very, very comfortable on motorboats and things like that, and was, well, we can't take our Cub Scouts out on motorboats, right? We're not going to do that at our family camp out. Now, that family was comfortable with that. They can do that, and that's great. But for our pack in general, that was not appropriate. So I would say, if you're comfortable having conversations with your kids, that go above and beyond what's in the preview adventures, go for it. This is just a starting point, I think, and we hope that it helps. We hope it facilitates a conversation. Anthony, we're just about out of time. Any final thoughts before we let the folks go about the cyber chip and the Protect Yourself Rules adventure?
So to recap, right, to make sure we're crystal clear on what the changes for this upcoming program year for rank advancements for Tiger, Wolf, Bear, Weeblos, and Air of Light, where before in the past they had to earn Cyber Chip as one of the requirements for their rank advancement. That's no longer a requirement for rank advancement. And in its place, the minimum requirement is for them to watch the age appropriate, grade specific video for Protect Yourself rules that's found on scouting.org. And that is that's the change. Now, CyberChip still lives. It's there. There's still it still exists, and we encourage folks, if you want to continue to use that as a program element, that's great. Continue to do so. We will have the Cub Scout CyberChip patches in supply as long as they last. But once they sell out, we will not be reordering those, since it's no longer part of our official program in Cub Scouting. If you're watching, and we know that we have dual folks that are also in Scouts BSA, CyberChip is still a requirement in Scouts BSA. So I believe it is for Scout and Star rank. It's still a requirement, and it still remains so. So this is only a change to Cub Scouting. And we really do help. This increases the exposure to the Protect Yourself rules adventure as a whole. We would encourage you to earn the adventure and not just watch the video. And we know that this is going to be something that parents like, children react positively to, and that we really do hope that this is something that sparks the conversation with a child and their parent about how to protect themselves, not just online, but in the real world. And those lessons apply not only in the real world, but they can also apply online too. So it's really easy to take some of these Protect Yourself rules and apply them and say, well, if you're going to be online, how would you apply these rules online as well?
Excellent information. We got off to a rough start today, Anthony, but I think we closed strong. So we ended up doing pretty good. It ended up being a really good
anyone
show.
knew that. I don't think anyone saw that. I think that was all behind the scenes.
Well, we appreciate.
We were a little late. That's why we were late.
Exactly. Anthony, thank you for coming on today. Thank you all for watching at home. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. As always, just want to remind you folks, this video will stay on the Facebook page where you're watching it. Share it with your friends. Tag them in the comments. Go back and watch it later. Continue to leave comments. We'll check them out. And the Cub Chat Live, hey, we're going to continue all summer long. We're going to have some really good content for you guys over here in the next few months. Some of us will be on vacation. You'll probably see some new faces. That's a part of what makes it so much fun. We're excited to be here. Looking forward to a good summer. It'll be September. Heck, you'll be having your joint scout night before you even know it, everybody. So thank you all for watching today. Anthony, thank you for joining us today.
Aaron, thank you. Appreciate it. And also, as always, big shout out to Brian behind the scenes. Thanks for all you do to make the show happen.
Yes, Brian came through today big time. Appreciate that. So long, Anthony. Have a good weekend. So long, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.